Hi, I'm Susie from Sunnyside Makery, and today I'm going to be engraving on a charcuterie board. So I've been testing out a couple of new phrases for charcuterie boards, kind of getting ready for the fall. I tried some that I thought were funny just to see what would happen. I tried meant to brie and I love you more than cheese. And the I love you more than cheese and the I meant to brie both sold pretty well, but I've been getting some requests for the I love you more than cheese to come back even before the fall. So that's pretty exciting. And I need to make one for a customer for her family gathering this week. So let's go ahead and get started. So here's my cutting board, my charcuterie board. It's super cute. I found it on sale at Home Goods a couple years ago when they had a big sale on all of their fall items. And it is, like most charcuterie boards, too big to go into my Glowforge without removing the crumb tray. Usually charcuterie boards tend to run around like 6/10 of an inch to 8/10 of an inch. So let's go ahead and check that out. I've got my digital calipers. This is probably my most used tool. If you don't have a set yet and you have a laser, I would totally recommend getting some. They're pretty cheap, but that way you can measure whatever you're using accurately. So I have them set to inches. I'm gonna go ahead and check, and it's right at 6/10 of an inch. So since it's more than 4/10 of an inch, I do need to remove my crumb tray from my Glowforge. And then that means that I need to do a little bit of math because I need to get the total thickness of my material plus whatever's underneath it to somewhere between 1 and 4/10 of an inch and really 1.9, 1 and 9/10 of an inch. Even though we say 2 inches for the Glowforge, sometimes you might start getting error messages if it's at 2 inches or a little bit over. So I like to keep it at 1.9 inches if I can. So since I do a lot of charcuterie boards, I have a stack of used up acrylic that I keep really handy. That way I can adjust how high it needs to be, because all of my acrylic is usually it's like that medium thickness, so it's usually right at about 1/8 of an inch. So I can just add and take away what I need. So here is my stack of used up acrylic. You can see it's all cut up, and I'm gonna go ahead and measure all of that. All right, and yep, it's right at, I'm gonna zero that out. I think that's off. Yeah, right at about 0.82. So it's a little bit over 8/10 of an inch. So I'm gonna be just a little bit over 1.4 inches, which is going to be perfect. That's gonna be able to get my Glowforge to be able to autofocus right within its perfect range. Again, you wanna try to get it right between 1.4 inches and 1.9 inches. So this is going to be a perfect thickness. You can use some people use a block of wood, other people use other things. But again, I just like using scrap acrylic because it's thick, it's sturdy, it's not gonna move, and I can take away pieces. I can add pieces if I need to get my material right up to its perfect height that it needs to be. So now I'm going to bring my design over into the Glowforge software, and then that way I can engrave on my charcuterie board. Now, since this charcuterie board is already finished, I'm not going to mask it. And that's because I've tried that before on this kind of already finished material, and the masking just doesn't stick, and then it becomes a fire hazard because you've got little pieces of masking blowing around with your laser, and that's a fire hazard. And so I feel like as long as your settings are okay, you don't have too much charring. So I'm not going to mask it. I'm just going to put it in like it is. This is Acacia wood, so I'm going to use my settings for Acacia, and it's food safe. So afterwards I'm going to seal it with a mineral wood oil that I just got at Home Depot. So any generic food safe food grade mineral wood oil works great. It's a super easy project. It sells really well at markets, especially around the fall and around like Christmas time, I find. Here is my Glowforge web app. So I already have my designs uploaded because I've used them before, and I'm going to use the one that is just straight going across because this board just has a flat edge across the bottom. So I'm going to go ahead and drag it to the edge, and I'm going to resize it to make it larger. All right. There we go, and I'm going to go ahead and like fill up that bottom edge, but I don't want the words to be too big because I know that this customer wants a lot of space for the food to be able to go on her charcuterie board. I'm going to go ahead and try to center it the best that I can and make sure that the board is also straight in relation to my Glowforge. I'm going to go ahead and set the focus, make sure that it really is in line. Every now and then you'll find that the camera is initially a little bit off, so you want to set the focus, make sure everything really is in line. It didn't move, so that looks really good. So you'll notice that my material is set for medium maple plywood. That's what I was using earlier. There we go. Yeah, moved it up just a little bit. So it's set for medium maple plywood. I was using that earlier for a project. Since we set the focus, that doesn't really matter because I'm going to be using my manual settings for Acacia. So let's go ahead and look at that. My manual settings that I have saved for Acacia are 1000 for speed and 70 for precision power, and then I use 340 lines per inch. That's a lot of lines per inch, just to be really specific and make sure that I have a really clean engrave. So that's what it looks like. Those are my settings, and since we already set the focus, we're good to go. I'm going to go ahead and click ready, let it prepare. And I'm going to do a quick check while it's preparing, just make sure there's nothing else on the screen, nothing else in the box that might potentially engrave. Sometimes things sneak in. I can see that my I like you more than cheese is blue, and so it is going to engrave. All right, and it looks like 8 minutes and 18 seconds, and that sounds reasonable, so I'm good to go. I'm going to go click my magic button and start engraving. Here is our finished product. I really like the way that it turned out. I chose a font that looked a lot like handwriting to go along with the hand-drawn hearts that I put in the corner. I didn't mention it before, but you do convert your font to an SVG when you import your file. So that's down here. Also, part of the reason why I use 340 lines per inch as part of my settings is to make sure that the really delicate font looks really clear. So I really like the way that it turned out. And I'm gonna finish it off with a cutting board oil that I just got from Home Depot. I'm sure you could find it online. It's colorless, odorless, tasteless, food grade mineral oil, and I'm going to apply it with a microfiber cloth. And I don't just put it where I engraved. I'm going to go ahead and put it everywhere on the front of the board to seal it in and to also make it look uniform. If you only put it down here where you engraved, it's going to be shiny down here and not right above it. And so just to make it look really good, go ahead and put it everywhere on that front. That'll make it look really uniform. Let it soak in for a couple of hours before you give it to a customer or take it to a market. If you have any questions, let me know, and happy creating. I'm Susie from Sunnyside Makery. Have a great day.